What's up? It's your girl, Micca, the Badass Unicorn.
And it's your girl, Just Right Jules.
And you're now watching the Red Cup Podcast. Josie.
Micca.
What's up?
Girl, you already know what's up. The sky. And money.
It wasn't me.
Money.
But money, I can do.
Money up.
I can do.
Okay.
So, this is our Father's Day episode.
Okay.
Fathers are very much appreciated and underappreciated. But in my household and every household that is associated with my family, we celebrate our dads. So let's do a little toast to that.
To our daddies.
To our daddies. That's that Buffalo Trace. Oh my God. Ooh. That was for my dad. So.
Our dads together.
Yes. Oh, yes, that's right, because you lost our dad and my dad's gone too. So, yeah, so, I mean, just to start off with that, the importance of having a father, like how important was that to you?
It was very important for me because my mom passed when I was 11.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just me and my dad. And I can't even, compartmentalize, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows that me and him went through. But needless to say, we figured it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I rebelled a lot. And he spoiled me a lot. And we figured out how to make it work. And at the end of the day, I'm thankful that he wasn't like a creep. That he wasn't, those are things that now that as I'm grown, that I didn't realize the other types of fathers, that the things that can go down being raised in a man household. And a lot of people told me about stories about molestation.
Because your dad was a single dad.
My father was a single dad. Mm-hmm. And so, he had people that came around and, shout out to them if they watch it, because they probably are watching what I do. But he did have women come around because he wanted a woman in my life. But for the most part, I had my sisters, but he was like Mr. Mom. And so to think about Father's Day, I think about one time many years ago for Mother's Day, since he was playing now mother and father to me, I was like, Dad, I got you a Mother's Day card because you're doing both. And he was like, nah, I don't want no Mother's Day card. I'm your father. Your mom, you only have one mother. And I can't ever replace the role of your mother. So you can hold your card until Father's Day, and I'll get it then, because he's like, I'm your parent before anything. So it's my job to do that. And so I just I commend my father for stepping up into that role, making sure I was good, protected, taken care of, ate every night, and he was home every night. And, I wish there were more men that rose to that occasion or acknowledged for their hard work as a single father, because there's a lot of men out here that are raising children by themselves.
Yeah, and before I speak about my dad, I really think there are a lot of men that are in that, predicament where they're the single dad, or they're just really good fathers. But, unless, how nobody gets credit for what you're supposed to be doing, men get that the most to me, right? You're a good dad. Okay, so you're a good dad. You're supposed to be, right?
Right.
But if you do bad as a dad, then they're gonna give you all the smoke, right?
Correct.
And I feel like a lot of the times, we will give women the credit even if they're not a good mom. We'll say, well, but that's her mom.
Right.
Nobody does that to the dad. Like that, you have to actually do something. So I think a lot of men that do, go the extra mile, I think sometimes they aren't recognized enough, right? To the point where a lot of people think men don't do anything. And I know so many great men, including, my dad, he was the best father and the worst drill sergeant. but my dad was great, and my grandfather was the same way, great. They both come from two different sides of the spectrum, two different races. but they operated the same way, and one would call the other. Yeah, she's not doing this. I'm like, you don't even live here. Why? How is this? Communication going on? Because my parents were young when they had me. They were still in high school. So my grandparents raised me, so my parents can go to school. But yeah, it wasn't a day that went by that my dad didn't call, didn't come and see me and things like that. So like I really appreciated my dad, and my dad is gone now. But the last conversation I had with my dad, it was really fun. And me and my dad used to joke a lot. My dad was a very nice looking man. And so, growing up, as a girl, you're like, yeah, I'm cute, I'm cute. And everybody used to be like, you look like your dad. I'd be like, my dad is ugly. My dad be like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I'm that dude. I'm like, okay, dude. But, like, I get a lot of stuff from my dad, musically inclined because of my dad. My dad showed me how to play different instruments. So all of that I can attribute to my dad. So I really do miss my dad. But my dad was a hoot child.
Girl, you talk about the last conversation. My father, he died during the pandemic, but he didn't die of COVID.
Okay.
And his last thing saying to me, he had dementia towards the end, and it was like the hardest thing that I had to experience. Even though I'd already lost my mom, that was like the dementia is just like the mental. Yeah. And so he thought I was my mom towards the end of his life. And I looked like my mom. So, why did I get emotional? But anyway, he said, the last thing he said to
like
me.
girls and daddy.
Yeah, I love my dad. Like, I mean, we went through it, but so the last thing my father said out of his mouth was like, what do you want, Julia? And then he went back to sleep. And that was the last thing. And it was like, that was him. Yeah. It was like, it was like,
that's why I laughed, because it sounded like daddy.
He was gone, but he knew at the end, it was Julia. Yeah. He knew to say, what do you want, Julia? And I take those last words to him and I replay them so many times. Like, what do you want, Julia? Yeah. What do you want, Julia? Yeah. And it wasn't even so much as him as to what do I want, like, in response to what he wanted. Like him.
Like, what do you want out of life? What do you want to do?
What do you want out of life?
Yeah.
And that was where, things, I had to look at my life differently. Because at this point, when he passed, my whole life have revolved around my father for 10 years. I had been taking care of him since the amputation after amputation, diabetic comas and heart attacks and open heart surgeries. And, I kept it private because my father, those were his battles that he was dealing with. And so I never told people like what I had to experience or endure. But I will cherish those memories. And as Brian McKnight say, honor their mother and father. I honored my father and mother until the days they closed their eyes, because that was important to me. And my daughter got to witness that, my response to my father's health. And so she was able to be there with me and see how I dealt with that. And it's still like, I'm still, to me, I'm still grieving. I'm still grieving it. And I don't know how many years it's been for you.
My dad's been dead for now, maybe, because he died in 2010.
Okay.
So, Lord, I didn't even think about it like this. It's 14 years. So, yeah, he died in 2010. And, my dad had a lot of ups and downs because my dad got into the music industry and got on drugs and things like that. But one thing my dad never did is let me see him high. And my dad, people can say what they want about it, but anything that my dad did on a negative spectrum, he ain't never let me see it. He never let me see him down. And as I became an adult, I would even know that my dad was in a bad place. He always made it seem like it was positive because he wanted me to always view him in a good light. Even when I knew he was messing up. So even through that, I always talk about my dad in a good light because that's what he at least always tried to show me.
Right.
Even when he messed up. So I look at it like, I think, and some people say I'm male identified, but it's because I grew up with my father and my grandfather, and I have a big appreciation for men, right? And I'm a daddy's girl. I'm a granddaddy's girl, and a lot of women in our generation have never had that, so they don't understand that male authority can also be very beneficial, very loving, very this and that. So, if it comes with me being male identified, I don't care, because my daddy and my granddaddy still living. My granddaddy's like 77. But I don't mind that, because the type of men that they were, I'll stand on it, because I know that now don't mind you, I'll call out men, but I go to bat for men because I know how men can be. Right. And so, and as well as, my mother and everything, but I'm a girl. I'm particularly attached to my daddy, my granddaddy. So that's why I give men a lot of leeway, because I know that there are great men out here. So, Happy Father's Day to everybody before I sit up here and be all emotional. But
Happy Heavenly Father's Day to anybody that has a father up in heaven. Like, they're very important for the household.
Yes,
a good man is vital to any household, whether you're the biological father, the uncles.
Because my uncle, he wasn't that much older than me, but he would take me with him. He would watch me. He would take me to the arcade. So that's why I'm a little bit of a tomboy.
Okay.
Not just my dad and my granddad teach me stuff, but my uncle would take me places.
That's what's up right there.
We would do WWE, child.
WWE.
Yes.
Nope, I ain't doing that. Like, girl, I was the one, like, the child, the little girl that had all the Barbies, like every kind of Barbie, because we were spoiled. My parents spoiled us, right? Because they didn't have it. They spoiled us. And my cousins, they would have their little wrestling man, and they would be, like back in the day, the wrestling man's, the little pin that they would have, the little boxing thing. They would throw Barbie in there, and I'm like, no, you don't throw Barbie.
Yes, you do. You gotta throw. Remember, China and all that. You gotta throw them in there.
I was so like, no, they're taking my Barbies and putting them with the wrestling men, and I was just like, it was blasphemy for me as a child, because I was like, you are not. But I was still like tomboyish, because back in the day, you grow up in certain suburban areas. You got the lightning bugs, the creeks. You out there picking caterpillars to watch them turn into
we
butterflies.
in the DMV. It's city, but it's also country.
I love it though.
I love that it's not turned up all the time, right? Like at a certain time, it slows down. It gets very country like, and then you can drive away from the city and just get serenity and
just
peace.
drive to Micca's house about 45 minutes. Ma'am, you're in the country.
At least it's on the water.
$1 rental.
Ma'am, at least it's on the water. You're exactly right there.
One of everything.
One of everything. I love it. I wouldn't have it another way, because I'm not paying all those taxes for everything else that I don't use. But that's another conversation.
Lord.
But I want to get into DC Young Fly, who recently became a single dad because his fiance died. And, and you can kind of identify with that, because those children are babies. And I watched that, and it was so sad, but I watched the children at the funeral, and they didn't realize that their mama wasn't coming out that casket until it closed. The older one actually realized it was something wrong, because she closed it, and because she was like, mommy, mommy. And then when they closed it, she actually realized that that lady's not getting up out of there, right? So I just thought it was so, it was sweet, but it was heartbreaking at the same time, right? Because you can see how much children need both parents. Like I get so tired of the narrative of that, women can just do it on their own. Because when it comes to dads, I never hear dads saying, I can do it on my own. They will find some woman who they think has some good qualities to be like, ma'am, please help me. Yeah. Right? And they go for help. And there's nothing wrong with women going for help. Like, that doesn't make you weak. That makes you smart to me.
Correct. So in my case, my mom died, and that casket closing was that was my trigger. Yeah. So when I seen his children react that same way, I was almost like taken back to that exact moment, being 11 years old, and them closing that casket and them having to literally pull me away from that experience. But and I always remember like how my father told me, your mom is, she's gone. Yeah. But what I loved about how my parents helped me cope was, oh man, I didn't think this was going to do this to me. But there was movies that came out during that time that helped me prepare, that my mom, somehow or another, my father, my mom, they found ways to get those messages in me to help me get ready for that inevitable situation. Yeah. And so a couple movies that I'm going to mention that helped me survive that time was Crooklyn.
Oh my Clueless. God, that just popped in my head when she ran downstairs. Because when you said that, when the cast closed, I literally thought of Troy. She gone. She gone. When he was yelling at the mouse or something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of that movie came out right before my mom passed. Mm-hmm. So we watched it together. Mm-hmm. Okay. Before my mom passed, my father took me to see
I got you.
My Girl. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So My Girl, Veda's mom is deceased. Okay. They're living in the funeral home and stuff like that, and yeah. So these are the movies: Crooklyn, My Girl, and Clueless. Okay. All of them were raised or in Crooklyn, you see the transition of the mother. Right. But in Clueless, she's raised by father. Yeah. And I really thought I was Cher. I really thought I was out here living the best Clueless life. I thought I was like Clueless of the Prince George's County area. Like, father got me a car as soon as I can drive. Like, we was in a situation where my father taught me how to drive. By like 13, by the time I was 16, my father already got me a car. And I literally got my license and then said, okay, Dad, I'm dropping you off home and I'm going home because I'm going out. I'm going partying and doing whatever. I'm 16 years old, but my father let me do it. This is where my mother, if my mom was alive, my mom be like, where you going and who you with? Let me call their mother. Let me call and do the little checks and balances to make sure you where you are you supposed to be. But I got away with so much because it was just me and my father. So I say all that to say, like, I was so thankful that I had experiences like those movies that can kind of help me say, it's not that bad. But it messed me up in so many ways and other ways because the emotional support that I needed, I could not get from my father. Mm-hmm. Knowing how to be a woman. He couldn't teach me how to be a woman, but he can say, and this is the next catch-22 to this. My father, you would think like, okay, he might just say, let me take over to my mother's house, and my mother can help me with this little girl. My grandmother died like 6 months after my mother. So my father literally lost his wife, then lost his mother, and then had to raise a 11, 12-year-old girl by himself. Yeah. Commendable by so many means. So that's why when he, got ill, I didn't care if I took care of him for 10 years. My father took care of me to be the woman that I am. But the funniest thing was to me, when I was like, I told you about my Persuco episode. Girl, and me and my sisters was talking about this the other day. Like, my father, like, he would give me anything. Persucos, Versace, Iceberg, whatever. I wanted. I had everything, girl. I was out here. I was dripping, girl. I was dripping. Like, please, y'all can go back. I got pictures.
That's late night.
I got receipts. I got pictures, receipts, all that. Okay. And so with that being said, it came a point. My father like, you wearing too many jeans. You need to go get some skirts and dresses because you's not a tomboy. You's a young lady. And I went, and I was like, oh, okay. So I went, Donna Karen, BB, got all my skirts and dresses. And so I'm like, okay, you ain't said nothing but a word. Because I was wearing them Oxford skirts, the little flannel skirts with with my little bobos and stuff like that. I was cute. So I say all that to say that there was a point in time when I was in school up until like maybe 11th grade year that some of them people didn't even know I didn't have a mother in the household. It took from my grades to slip in the 11th grade and them calling the house and I'm saying, we need the mother or the father to come up to the school because I was acting indignant, okay, y'all? And they called
normal
and they was
teen
like,
stuff.
yeah, normal teen stuff. And they was like, wait, your mom is deceased?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They was like, we would have thought you came from a household with two parents.
Well, and before before I play this DC Young Fly thing, again, women get mad at me when I say, when I bring up the stats, and that's because a lot of children that grow up in the single father households fare almost, not the same, but almost as well as two parent. And I think it's just from my thought process, I think it's probably because they're not afraid to ask for help, to say, hey, I can't do it on my own.
Right.
What do women like? What do women do this? Can you help my daughter with this?
Right.
Can you help my daughter with that? I think in this society, we get so caught up in, women being subjugated. Women are at the freest point that they've ever been in the world.
Right.
And as much as men have been responsible for a lot of bad stuff, they've also been responsible for a lot of the good stuff. Right? And so to not give credit or credence to that is just being disingenuous. Right? So when I look at it, I'm saying, okay, if these type of households exist, why not shine a light on them? Why not show that there are tons, millions of men that actually do a good job? The narrative is always that men don't want to be there.
Right.
And I don't know why that is, but there's tons of men, like a lot of the women that I know, whether it's from single father households or just two parent households, they love their daddies.
Yeah. Me and my sisters were, like, they will say they spoiled brats. I was just a brat. No, I was spoiled too. Now, my father spoiled us all. And it wasn't even that, I don't want to say it was spoiled. I want to say it was loved. He gave us so much love because of how he was brought up. Growing up in the 50s and the 60s, being a lighter skinned guy, you know what I'm saying, having to go through those colorisms that we don't know about during that time. But my father didn't make no excuse. And that's why when people always like give excuses for why they're this way or why they that. No, my father never gave excuses as to anything. And I'm very much the same way. So I can't make an excuse and say, oh, I was bad because my mom passed away. No, that was a reason for me to actually do better because I had my father, because I had someone, a stable household. My father worked. He went to work, took care, made sure I was good. He still parlayed. My father parlayed, okay? My father parlayed. He was up Ebony End.
Your daddy knew my daddy.
Pops was over Ebony End. But one thing for sure, whenever I needed my father, now granted he had a little drinking problem, however the case may be, but I knew where my father was at.
Yeah.
So if my father wasn't at home, it was about 4 places my father can be, okay? And I knew how to either reach him or get there. In which case, he never made it like bad. And so, I mean, it was, we had some times, but at the end of the day, my father never made an excuse. He always gave me reason to do good things. He always said, I'm not your mother and your father. I'm only your father.
It's crazy.
He didn't want no extra credit for being a father. Women, this is where I don't even mean to say it like this, but I mean, some women, I was a single mom, now I'm married, but I was a single mom for X amount of years and for 18 years. And at that point, I never tried to be the father. I'm only can be the mother.
Correct.
And I think that what happens is so many people, like, they try to take credit from the father. No, ma'am. Like, you may have decided to have the child, even if the father is absent or does like bare minimum. Like, one, you can't look at a child as a way to keep a man.
Yeah.
Okay. 2, at the same time, you can't look at it like just because you're doing what you're supposed to do as a mother, that you're doing both mother and father responsibilities, because a father is not trying to get the credit for a mother when he's the single father. So why is it that as a woman that we feel like we're supposed to get credit as for being both?
Why do you think they do that? Because I've noticed on social media when it's Mother's Day, I'm mother and I'm father, and then sometimes even on Father's Day, I'm the father too. Like, no, ma'am.
No.
Like, you can be. I understand. You're a single parent, so you can be doing a phenomenal job, but you're not a father.
You're not a father. I mean, unless you actually have sperm that you can actually
exactly.
Like, nah, you're like just under. I mean. And I'm not saying this to be disrespectful to any woman out there that's planning that have to do both roles. But I'm coming from a household that my father never wanted the credit for being both roles. He never wanted it. He was like, I am your father. That's it. Like with me, with my daughter, I am your mother. There's no way I can't fill the shoes of a man.
Yeah.
I would be wrong and like discrediting any good man if I was to take that role. No, that's not. No. Let me have my day, Mother's Day, and the men. I'm hoping that y'all are celebrated, loved, feel appreciated. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go on a grill, do your thing. But by all means, like, y'all role is so vital to a household. It's so vital. A woman role is important. Yes. Like we gonna make it run. We gonna make it run. That's what we do. Like, I love us women and the mothers that do what we need to do.
Yeah.
But we will be wrong to discredit what a man's role is in a household. So, I mean, if you don't have a man in your household, or if you don't have a father figure in your household, or an uncle or a cousin,
but you got, and that's what I was saying earlier. You got somebody in good standing that can be that male disciplinary, because I don't care. Structure comes from the man, like women. That's what we do. We nurture. Like every time my dad would go, and he'd tell me why I got it, woo woo, and then my mom would be like, "Come on, it's okay, woo woo." But that was that role, right? And I know people will say, "Oh, well, times have changed. Women are not housewives," because all the women in my family outside of me are all housewives or have been housewives. But at the same time, it doesn't change your femininity. No. I don't care if you have a job.
Right.
Right, and so I think as a nation, if we just actually sat back and realized how important that men are to women, right? Because we talk about the women's liberation and all that, but it had to be men there to help you.
Right, right.
It's the same as when we talk about slavery, right? White people were this, that, and the third, but it had to be white people there.
We had to have some alliances with somebody.
Yeah. Right. So there are tons of men that want to see their daughters, thrive and things like that. There's tons of those men. But I look at it like when I look on social media, when I look at, certain things in the media, it's like no men. Nobody. There's no men that that love women, that want to see women flourish. There's tons of those men.
No, I mean, and I'm not to even make it racial, but it's the black men get, they get the grunt of it, right? And then let's just be real, they get the grunt of it. And I feel bad because it's a lot of women that grew up without fathers that have put all men in that same category. Yes. And then they look at women like myself or you and say, oh, you're just defending a man. And it's like, no, we're not defending men. We're defending good men. We're defending good men. And somebody could say, your father wasn't shit, but my father was something to me. Yes. And he may not have been shit to you, but he was something to me. Yes. Your father made, they probably was players. They went through a player phase.
My father, I could tell people all the time, my father was not the best husband, but my father was the best dad I could ever ask for.
But it's not even that. It's like you have fathers and you have providers and you have the providers. I mean, like they provide, and men, they create a tone, whereas women create a system. Because women are the ones that make sure the house is running efficiently, like making sure everything is where it needs to be. A man is going to provide, should provide some resources to make those things happen. Although we're changing times where you have certain situations where women get paid more than men, and you have the women being the ones.
But why do you think that has to change why do you think that has to change the role, right? Because biology doesn't change regardless of what you do socially.
No, I mean, I think, like, personally, I feel like if I'm making more money than my husband, then why should he be stuck with that bigger look? Like, why should he be stuck with all of that if I can contribute to that?
Right,
This is our household.
But it doesn't change. It doesn't change.
It doesn't change our roles. No,
right. It doesn't change how you operate. So I that's what I'm saying. And I understand it also too with biology that we as women, we like men, and this is the thing. Because it's almost like an oxymoron. I'll see women say, "Oh, we can be leaders and this and this and that," but when that man don't make more money than you, immediately that biology kick in, and you'll be like, "Well, you ain't providing for me."
Right.
Because it's an innate thing, right? But for, I would say, just the normal everyday thing, what does that have to do with you being feminine? Like, what does your job have to do with you being feminine?
No, your job shouldn't have a real govern on it. But what I would say is that if you, like people always say, like with Martin and Gina, and I'm just using as a, as a
and she scenario. Was feminine all the time.
Yeah, she was feminine all the time. But she knew she got paid more than Martin, but she never made him feel less than I don't think she did. And that's just like, this is like TV. This is TV.
No, but remember that if you think about it and you add it up, you actually make more than me. He was like, really?
Right.
She was like, yeah, I make this as a salary, but you get paid per hour. So if you work the same number of hours I did, because you only work 4 hours a day, you actually make more than me. He was like, girl, you don't even realize they playing you. But
it's cute though. That was a cute example.
Right, but it gave him a sense of pride. Right, and a lot of women don't realize that it's not ego, it's pride, right?
But
everybody has an ego, men and women.
But men want to feel needed too.
Right. So when you make it seem like you don't need them, there's nothing for them to do.
Right. If you can do all of this, why do you need a man? And I think that's what a lot of men are getting to. Like, I hear guys talking now like, oh, these women are so independent. Like, if you're so independent, then why do you even need a man? Why do you want a man if you want to do everything on your own? And I feel like, everybody wants a little bit of compassion and, whatever, but people get tired of the games. You know what I'm saying? And I think that, in all actuality, it's men out here that are good men. But then they have women that take advantage of their goodness, and then you end up turning a good man bad. And vice versa.
Right. It's like the red pill, right? A lot of women don't like it, but I'm like, it's the same thing that men have to listen to when you have, as they call them, pookies or whatever. You let them, the pookies and chads, run through you, and then the women are like, these men ain't nothing.
Right.
Well, men are not as vocal, but when they have women that just use them and things like that, they get angry as well. They're just not as emotional about it. Right?
They are emotional.
No, meaning like it's not outward. It's not outward. It's more so they go home and contend with it, and they're like, okay, I'm not letting this happen to me no more. I'm not letting this happen. Women are going to show it on the outside.
True.
Like, you're going to see it. It's going to be not only in here, it's going to show, it's going to manifest on the outside.
Yeah.
Like men maybe in here, they might be cold-hearted, but on the outside, you wouldn't know until you started actually talking to him.
Men are like crabs. It's like once you get, it's like hard on the outside, but they're really soft on the inside.
Oh yeah.
And
and you learn that first by your daddy.
But you learn that from your father or the examples of the men in your life, because everybody doesn't have that father in their life. But to that token, you can't knock another woman that has had a man in their life. You can't knock it and say, oh, well, you just defending them because our fathers weren't perfect. No. But you show them grace because of the role that they have in your life. And I think that some women get it construed because they think like, one, you have people that go out here, have babies by multiple men. And then you expect that, okay, I had this first child with this man, and then you go have a baby with another man, and then you expect for this man to give you a different result, but you're not giving this man any standard to hold upon. That's why, I mean, I'm not even going to that because that's a canceled conversation. But then you go to that third baby and you have another child with another man, and then now you're looking at, because you chose all these 3 baby fathers and all of them ain't shit. Now you've equated that all men ain't shit, and that's fucked up to me, because it's like, why are these 3 men fucked up men when you got pregnant by them? And so it's I mean, I don't mean to be like that. I don't mean to be like that.
It's what my grandma said.
And then you collecting the check for child support.
My grandma used to say, one person says your breath stink, maybe. If 2 people say your breath stink, okay. If 3 people say, girl, your breath stink.
Right.
Like, it's you.
It's you. And so I'm just like, how can you equate the fact that you have that many baby fathers and say that all men, maybe you kind of got to do something differently on how you pick your men.
It's something that you like that gravitates you over there. It's something within you, right? Because your like attracts alike, right? It just is. I've never, like, you don't get somewhere unless you like what it is, like what it's showing. And for the life of me, all these women are just like, all these men are da-da-da. I'm like, what? Y'all don't go where y'all want to find something. Y'all want to take something and then say, I'm gonna make it into what I want.
Right.
No, if you want, quote unquote, a rich whatever, doing this and this and that, why are you not at the Amex Club?
Right.
Why are you not here? Why are you not there? Why are you not at the golf course? Because that's what they are, right? You are over here at the bar expecting, this to be this. Girl, it's not going to happen.
Definition of insanity.
And
trying to do the same thing, trying to get a different result.
Getting it. But I will say this, a woman with a daddy is more likely to pick up on that stuff. Because if somebody going to tell you who ain't shit, it's going to be your daddy. Man, when I used to try to date in middle school, high school, well, it's not really dating, but you get a little boyfriend, my grandfather would be like, And then next thing I know, I think I'm gonna slide down to my parents' house with it. My daddy be like, Harvey already called me.
But that's how, like, when people say, I only have my daughter, my one child. So I had my daughter, got pregnant, 18, and that was the hardest call, having to call my father and say, Daddy, I'm pregnant. But it was a call that had to happen. But my daughter, like, literally, like, saved my life, saved me and his life. She gave us reason. But within that, my father looked at me. He said, you got that one in there, right? You see where that father at, right? Now you going to make another one and have another father over there? Or you going to stick with what you got and wait till your ass get married before you have another child? And so many people be like, why didn't you have another child? And it was like, I wasn't married. I didn't want to have another child until I was married. Now, I remember one girl said to me on my Facebook many, many years ago, if you get married, your husband can cheat on you and leave you too. Okay?
Well, if you get a job, you can get fired.
Right. So I was like, damn, I felt some type of way, because I'm like, here it is. You have 3 children and X amount of baby fathers, and you're coming from me with one child and trying to tell me that I need to go out and have another child because my child needs a playmate. No, my child needs my child, or if I have another child, I want to make sure that I've created a stable environment for me to bring a household.
But it's crazy that women, not women, but some women think that because, again, y'all you understand the need for a job, right? A job brings stability.
Right.
You still can get fired, but more than likely, if you do a good job at it,
right,
you won't get fired.
Correct.
And you might even, a lot of people go into retirement at that same job, right?
Right.
So how is it that you can't make a measure? Is there a risk? There's a risk in everything, right? But there's a better reward in me trying to have a child in wedlock than trying to have a child outside of it. I don't have to fight. I don't have to fight for my children to have this man's assets. I don't got to take you to court. It's already in that. It's already in the paperwork, right? So there's a benefit to your legacy as a woman. It's not just a piece of paper. It's a business, and on top of that, outside of the business, it's literally a connection with those children. Because I keep telling women all the time, I'm gonna tell y'all here today, men have a bond with children a lot of the time. There's some men that can get around it, but when they have a bond with the mother, they have a bond with those children.
Right.
And so I say that to say it's easier to raise children in that environment than when they despise the mother. Right? And you want them to get around it with the children, because men don't. It's just biology. Men don't think like women think.
Right.
And so when they don't have that connection there, some of them will be like.
Right. But it reminded me of the girl that went viral, and she dropped the kids off, I think, at the police station, and she's just like, she was tired, and that her baby father can go and do this and go and do that and da-da-da-da-da. For the record, just be mindful, men and women. Be mindful who you have children with.
Yeah.
A child is not just something to just be in your stomach for 9 months. This is an actual human being that'll eventually grow up with whatever traumas or triggers that you guys put into them. So be mindful before you just open your legs and have a child, or even just allow people's energy up in you, because just because somebody look good, smell good, doesn't mean that person is good for you. Doesn't make them a good father. Just because a nigga got some good whatever does not mean that he's going to be a good father. Dick, the goodness of a dick does not make a goodness of a father. However, there are good men out here that are able to and want to be fathers, and want good women, and want to raise their children, and don't care if they have to raise another person's children, another person's child. They're
I mean, that's a big topic, but I think it's only a big topic nowadays because men have done it. I think it's only a big topic nowadays because there's no appreciation for it.
Right.
Men like to go where they're appreciated. So I will say this: women back in the day, if they knew that kid was not that man's, they still say, hey. You listen to what he's saying. I see
Mr. James.
You know, whatever. Because you understood there's a respect factor there. Like, that man don't have to come in here and take care of these kids that they're not his.
Right.
Right? I mean, we're more civilized than the animal kingdom. But in the animal kingdom, especially in like the lion kingdom, the lioness will sit there and watch that male lion kill off them cubs from that other male lion.
Oh, shoot.
And male lions do not take care of other males' cubs.
Oh no.
And the lioness sits back because
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know that one.
Because the lioness are under the provision of the bigger species, right? And it goes for us as humans as well.
Okay.
Women are under the provision of men, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, right? And I'm not talking about being under the thumb. I'm talking about whether you make a $5 or $1 million as a woman. You want a man that's going to stand up for you. You want a man that's going to do what he says he's going to do. So
protect the house.
You're under the male provision and authority anyway.
Correct.
Male authority is not you do what I say. Male authority is leadership. Like
misogyny. Not misogyny.
Right. And that's the thing. They throw all that in. And this is why I'm stressing the Father's Day thing, because when you have a father, you understand male authority is not a dictatorship, right? Like, I've never seen my mother have to cower. My mother said what she said, but my mother understood that I'm gonna give you my thoughts, and I'm gonna give you this, and you say you're the man, you take that and do what you will, but heavy is the head that wears the crown. If we succeed, it's because you the man. If we fail, it's you.
You. Yeah. But I do think that even with that being said, like, when you have a man in that position as a wife or the mother or however the case may be, you still have your responsibility is to make sure that, you know, I've said this before, that if he's going out there taking care of everything outside of the house, make sure the home is taken care of when he comes home. And so what happens is, and I mean, we're wives and we know the logistics of it. We're not completely green. We understand that the roles of the house sometimes get blurred, okay? It get blurred, okay? Sometimes the woman, the mom, the wife, has to fill in for the man and vice versa, because that's what makes a couple. That's what creates a solid unit, is when you guys can balance each other out. The thing is, men don't want more credit than what they ask for. It's us women, and I mean, I'm guilty because we women take on a lot. We do. But it's more, like you said, emotional. Men deal with more stuff on the outside of the house, and they deal with a lot of the things that come at the house. Women deal with the emotional aspects of the house. And so I think that for us, we be like, oh, we did this and we did that. And it's like we want a badge of honor.
They want stuff you're supposed to do. But even when you look at it like that, right? My dad is the one that got me off the bottle. My dad is the one that got me potty trained. And because I'm a 90s kid, and my mom always tells the story that she kept giving me the bottle, and in the 90s they had plastic and glass, and so I would throw the bottle down and it would break.
Right.
And my mom said my daddy was like, she throw that bottle down one more time, she get in a cup. At one, I was drinking out of a cup because my dad was like, negative.
Right.
Negative. We're not doing these tetra tantrums, right? My mother would have kept on buying it and buying it and buying it. My dad said no, right? My dad also was like, hey, we have to be doing this and that. She needs to be potty trained. My dad did that. My mom didn't do that. And so, but I didn't find that out from my dad. I found it out from my mom.
Right. Because real recognized real. She knew where... She knew where she received her help from, and that's where you don't have a lot of women that acknowledge the fact of the father's house and the role in the household. And I'm so thankful that I got to. I miss my mother so much, so much. I can't even put it into words. But had I not had, if my father wasn't there, I would have missed her way more. I mean, but he totally filled that void for me.
Yeah.
And I just commend men that step up to that responsibility, no matter whether you're the biological father or whether you're the stepfather.
Yeah, men are definitely important, and so I hope more women just see that they are needed, because we had this conversation before that they are needed, that they do provide a vital role, whether we want to acknowledge it or not.
Correct.
And I think it's the same thing I think about politics. If you actually look under the surface, you find out that you have more in common. You may have different ways of getting to it, but you find out you have more in common than you have apart. Because a man that's in a household, I've never seen a man that's in a household say, I don't want my child to succeed. I don't want my child. But he's masculine, you're feminine. Those are different, difference in the yin and the yang.
Right.
But it still makes a circle.
Right.
So, I just think we have to, just appreciate men more. So that is our intro for Father's Day. That was a long intro, but nevertheless, we're going to get into a little bit of DC Young Fly and react to his interview with Cam Newton.
Where do you find your place of refuge? Like when these things happen, what do you do? Because this is the most important question of all, because I have to be obedient to the person who sees this.
Right.
Because you're speaking to millions.
Right.
And somebody who's has gone through, or about to go through what you have went through. What do you do? Who do you go to? What's that place of refuge? How do you process these things?
I go to the higher power with it, and then this is part of it too. So I appreciate you as well, because I don't speak, I'm not verbal I'm private, bro.
Yes, sir.
I don't want nobody in my business. Ain't in your motherfucking business. That's the human me. Fuck you in my business.
Didn't I say that men are more like that? They'll do stuff and then they just not very vocal about it, but yeah.
Oh, nigga, back the fuck up. Spiritual side is me and say, hey, you heard? I know you heard. Keep God first, my boy. Stay prayed up. Man, you strong. I appreciate it. Listen, man, you gotta be strong one day too, man. You just stay strong. Don't let nothing break you. And you keep pushing and you gotta go on with your life. And then what I gotta go on with my life is go back to the resource. It's to the higher power. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I made it through the day. I didn't lose my mind. I ain't running to nobody that I had to take out my frustration on. I was, everything was smooth. My kids are smiling. Everything is good. Okay, the situation may be fucked up, which is forever. But how do I not dwell on the situation? How do I continue to keep going through the situation? Because this situation don't change.
So I ask you this way. I seen an interview with Keeklock.
Right.
And obviously his closest confidant or a person who gave him an opportunity was Young Dolph.
Right.
When Young Dolph left us, Keeklock did an interview and he said, I'm gonna always be fucked up. And that leads me to the question of how do you manage it?
Go to the high power. That's the answer for everything. Ain't nothing on earth. Nothing on earth has the answer unless God brought him to me or I walked because I seek for knowledge. I hit. That's how I know I'm supposed to be doing comedy. God was speaking through my partner. He was talking to me. He said, you need to do Vine. Sometimes God put people in your life because people are, you're not disobedient, you're just hard-headed.
Yeah.
God knew Moses wasn't gonna listen. He keep down himself. I mean, say to people, man, what about, man, I don't think I'm capable. Man, it's you, man. I ain't choosing nobody else to do the job. Man, I don't know. All right. Let me get your brother, because you're gonna believe your brother. I'm gonna send your brother to tell you everything I'm telling you because you're gonna believe him quicker.
Yes.
Oh my God, that when I tell you that is so on point, like I can tell you right now, that is on point because I've had plenty of points where I'm like, I shouldn't do this and this and this and this, and then I'll get strangers. I'll get people like, oh my God, I love this and that, and I'll be like, really?
Right.
And so then I'll go back, and everybody knows I'm not religious, but I still think it operates the same way. The universe would be like, ma'am, but this is what we already told you we're doing. So, and like, just do it. But you see that through other people because the moment I doubt myself, somebody be like, man, I saw that music video you did. It was awesome. Or I saw your podcast. That's great. Oh my God, you got this person for an interview. Oh, how did you get on this and this?
Right.
And so with all of that, it's always a reassurance, between the synchrony and numbers and everything. Like, it's a reassurance. So I understand exactly what he's saying.
When he says that, it actually makes me think back to the fact that, like, when my mom passed, my father made sure I was in church. My father knew he didn't have the answers to help me get through my mother's death. And at that time, therapy and going mental health, this is 96 when my mom passed. So mental health and people wasn't even thinking about, doing all these things. But my father knew that he couldn't handle it. So he sent me to church. And he made sure from that moment, at least up until I started driving, I didn't have to drive to church. Because that's what once you start driving, you like, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to church. But my father made sure, like, I was very active in the church. He made sure that I knew the Lord. And so it would be easier for me to kind of get through the grief that I was dealing with. So I would definitely always say, go to the higher power, because I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. No one has all the answers, but God has the answers, and he uses people to get the messages to you. So I remember the first time I experienced the Holy Spirit come over me, and I didn't even know it was coming over me, but I knew that it was out of my control, and I felt it, and I had this spiritual awakening. And at that moment, I knew that my mom was good. I knew my mom was good. And that is why I value DC Young Fly mentioning the Lord and mentioning the Spirit and mentioning the higher powers, because so many people think that they can deal with these human battles, but they're really spiritual warfare that we're all enduring. We all deal with some type of...
especially this year.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't matter what religion or your spirituality that you deal with. Your spirit is your spirit. That is one thing that is true, and it's a part of you. And so I'm thankful that he's referencing us, because rarely do we hear people speaking of God in which the way DC Young Fly has. And if it took for Jackie O to unfortunately lose her life and perish, and now this man having to see his faith, but he's wearing a shirt that says faith, that he has faith that this is above him, that he's trusting God to do all the things. And so that was something that I had to deal with too, being so young, losing my mom. So I'm very thankful that this is the message that he's putting out there.
Yeah, I think and people, people from a religious standpoint might, say whatever, the deity is, whether, Jesus, Allah, whatever. But even when you just, look at it from a spiritual aspect of just the universe, right? Like I tell people all the time, there's something, that you're a part of that's higher, because if you just stop talking, you can still hear yourself. So at that point in time, there's somebody else there to help guide you. And a lot of times, if you just quiet your mind and you just listen, you'll be able to hear a lot of stuff. And a lot of the stuff that I've been able to do comes from, and I tell people this all the time, a knowing spirit, right? Like my front mind might say, I don't know. And then the other one be like, girl, it's going to happen. And once you start resonating with the knowing, anytime I've ever said that I know something is going to happen, it's happened.
Right.
The moment I deviate from that, that's when it doesn't happen. Well, so I tell people all the time, just keep a knowing spirit. I guarantee you. And it doesn't matter, because some people are like, well, why is it taking a long time? Because you keep introducing doubt. But the moment like right now, you can get up and you can walk. Right? But let you feel like you don't know if you can walk.
Right.
Or when you watch infants, right? The moment they feel like they know they can do it, they get up and walk.
Get up and do it. Yeah. But the thing that comes with that is you have to build the strength to get there. And that's the part that people don't want to do the work for. Yeah. It's like faith without work
is dead.
Yeah. So it's like you have to have that faith. And sometimes people, it's the environments that you're around. So if you're around people that ain't doing shit, they ain't talking about shit, then guess what? You might be not shit either. But if you're around people that uplift your dream, uplift your faith, uplift you as a person, uplift and support your dreams, then guess what? That's going to elevate you. And guess what? There's power in numbers. There's strength in numbers.
You are what you eat.
You are indeed what you eat, but what somebody else eat don't make you shit, like I said.
Right.
And so
that's why you are what you eat.
But what happens to me is, and it's still Father's Day, but what happens is a lot of times people are always looking at what other people are doing instead of trying to figure out what they need to be doing. Stop looking over there and look at yourself and see what you need to be doing. Don't focus on what the next man is doing. Focus on what you need to be doing. Because somebody else, like DC Young Fly, his faith is his faith. He's saved clearly in the blood and the love of Jesus Christ. He is saved. He's there.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to get there? So now you have to stop and think, like, now I got to listen to the voices around me. Like I was on a call on the way here, and a friend of mine was having a vent session. And what ended up happening was, as they were venting, I had to stop them and say, no, we're not going to engage in this negative self-talk. What we're going to do is, and I said, let's pivot. And as soon as I said the positive things, like, you got this, look in the mirror and say, you got this, you know, you got this, you're going to do this, you whatever. And that person said to me, I said that before I got on the phone with you. Those are the exact words that I said to myself before I got on the phone with you. And I said, that's your confirmation.
Yeah.
That's your confirmation. So now what do you do with this confirmation? So what happens is people have they'll hear the word, they'll see the signs and they don't move on it. But then they get mad when they look around and see everybody else doing this and doing that because they're jealous that they didn't have the strength to do that themselves. And it's like, stop being jealous of the next person and watching everybody else obtain their greatness when you have the same 24 hours in a day.
Yep, and
you sitting there complaining.
I tell people this all the time, and I'll say this before we go into our next person here. But at the end of the day, right, whether, you know, you're religious or not, there's power in the word, which is the reason why every religion talks about it. Whether you're Buddhist, you know, whether you're Jewish, whether, you know, you're Christian, you know, it's power in the tongue, and it's always in the beginning, there's the word, right?
Right.
Because when you say something, it comes from a certain place.
Correct.
So when you say I am, you're literally putting that on yourself, right? I am stupid, I am this. So I tell people, like, sometimes people like, yo, you seem arrogant, or I'm like, because I'm not joking about myself. I'm not stupid. I'm not joking that way. Why would I do that?
But don't confuse my confidence for arrogance.
Yeah, because arrogance is not a knowing, right? Arrogance is more a boisterous thing.
Okay.
Right? Confidence is I know. And because I know, it can make some people jealous, mad, or whatever. That's not my problem.
You need to know. It's not my fault that you don't know what you need to know.
Yeah, that's not my problem.
Right.
What I know is what I know. What's meant for me is what's meant for me. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So that's why I said it's not arrogance, because arrogance is more for everybody else. It's a boisterous thing.
Diddy's arrogance. Diddy is arrogance
because he's coming from trying to boast for everybody else.
Correct.
When you're confident, it's going to happen. It's going to happen because that's how the universe works.
What is for you is for you.
Yeah. So I'm going to pivot into our last little conversation here that's a little more controversial because it is Ciara and Russell Wilson here. So Ciara and Russell Wilson, you're more familiar with that dynamic of them.
So, just to straight dive into it, like obviously everyone has this, you know, has loved Future for whatever reasons they loved him for his music or whatever. But then when Ciara got with Russell Wilson, it was like all this controversy around how Russell Wilson is parenting Ciara's son. Okay. Now, to me, Russell Wilson is by far like a gem, because if this man can love his wife's child like his very own, then why are we like giving him any backlash at all? You know what I'm saying? Just because Future has however many kids, I don't know how many. I can't keep track of him and Nick Cannon and even Cam. I can't keep track of all these kids, but they were here for a reason. But if you have a man that is like Russell Wilson, successful, making good money, a God-fearing guy, love the Lord, love his wife, love his family, then I don't understand what the backlash is behind him posting Little Future or doing all this stuff for his birthday.
You said this was his birthday.
It was his birthday. So Russell Wilson, not only that, he got backlash for the All-Star game. So I want to say he took Little Future to the All-Star game, and he got to shoot with Steph Curry. So he's up there hitting threes with Steph Curry. My thing is this. What's the problem with that? He's exposing this young guy to little guy to a lifestyle that where if this was Russell Wilson's biological son, he would do the same.
Right, because he has a biological son with him.
He does. He has so they have 4 now.
Okay. So I guess I guess there's a couple of things, right? We were talking about, you know, earlier how men aren't appreciated when they do step up and things like that.
Right.
So, you know, just how, you know, women have taken a stance about certain things, you know, men that aren't on the extreme have taken a stance and say, hey, if I'm not appreciated, why would I even do that?
Right.
Where is the benefit in it for me, right?
Right.
She's getting a benefit because, you know, I'm taking care of her child and her child gets a stable environment. But if the child is not able to be reared by me and not able to be, get on my program along with his mother, then what benefit is it of me to take it on?
Right.
Right? And so, and I've seen it vice versa for women, but the reason why women don't talk about it as much is because when it's the man's child and they're coming in, that man is still responsible for taking care of them.
Right.
So yeah, you may be in the nurturing capacity, but financially, you're still not technically responsible for that child.
Right.
And I've seen women like, that's not my kid. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that.
Oh, when they marry someone.
Yes, I've seen it, and and the man still okay, whatever. So what I'm saying is, I do understand the hesitation towards not wanting to do that when you know you're not going to be appreciated, and children already cost, and we're talking about the average folks here because average Americans aren't making what Sierra and Russell Wilson
No, not
right?
at all.
So Russell could take on a couple of them daggone kids plus adopt son,
right,
if he wanted to. But the average man, if he does that and he's not making a good choice, he stands to lose a lot.
He does. But what I can say is this. And this is what I'll say about them as a couple. One thing for sure, whatever you choose to believe in, they have God in the middle of their marriage, okay? She was intentional. Everybody knows about Sierra's letter to create, for her to give Russell Wilson. People keep saying, what was Sierra's prayer? What was Sierra's prayer? Sierra's prayer was for Sierra, okay? Your prayer may not be what Sierra's prayer was.
But that's why a lot of people be, clowning it, because they're making it so genetic. Oh, I'm gonna do Sierra's prayer. Well, are you gonna also do all the rest of the stuff that quote unquote Sierra was doing?
But she said
what I'm saying?
But the difference is
But
her
that's
prayer
what I
was her prayer. Yeah, her prayer was her prayer. Her prayer ain't gonna work. It ain't the Lord's prayer. It ain't universal. Okay. Sierra's prayer was Sierra's prayer. What you may want in a man may be different, because everybody be always saying, "Oh, Russell Wilson is a cornball and this, that."
But she's got on his
cornball.
But she got on his program.
Huh?
She's on his program.
What you mean she's on his program?
Meaning like she came from being with Future, right? And Future showing her this and that type of man, right? Well, if you want a different type of man, you got to act a different
type of way. Correct. So you can't be out here thinking you about to act
you
like
gotta
Sexy
still
Riggs.
do,
You can't be acting like Sexy Riggs and thinking you about to go and get a Russell Wilson.
Correct.
Not at all.
That's what I mean.
But, and there's certain people that will bring up, for instance, like the Megan Good, her and her husband, abstained and they got married, now they're divorced. Okay.
But why did she abstain? Because she had sex way before she met that man. But why was she abstaining? Because
her religious reasons.
Because that man has standards, and he understands.
No, because she read Think Like a Man.
I'm gonna reserve. I'm gonna reserve certain things, but from what I heard, what's his name,
Devin Franklin.
Yeah, before their divorce and all that, he said that's how he wanted to operate. It's no different than Tim Tebow. He got clowned. He got clowned a lot when he was like, "Yeah, I'm a virgin." He's like, "But this is how I operate." And he could have picked any woman he wanted. He found another woman that was on that same plan. And to me, I think men should operate that way. Meaning, regardless of what anybody else thinks about it, that's your plan, and you should find who operates in that, because if you got certain type of values and somebody else has certain type of values, you're not equally yoked.
To me, the best way to say it to me is intentional. Be intentional on what you want in your life, and then align yourself with the intentions that you set for yourself. So you can't say that I want a good, solid man if you're not a good, solid woman. You can't say that I want a provider if you're not capable of even making the difference of having a provider. So, and it irritates me, because I've seen one woman say, "I need you to take me on a vacation." And he like, "Well, shawty, you don't even want to cook dinner for me." And she's like, "I'm not cooking dinner for you because I'm not a wife."
Because they're all doing that.
I'm not a wife.
They're all doing that. I don't cook. I don't clean. Let me say. But this man.
Cardi gonna cook something though. Like don't get.
I like how
confused.
Offset, and I'm gonna try to put it in here. I like how Offset busted in on her when she was sweeping and stuff. He's like, I thought you don't cook or don't clean.
Right.
No, because even though she's a millionaire, yeah, she could leave, she can do this, she can do that, but what she values is family, and so I think that's what's missing in a lot of our households. We don't value family. Everybody's I, right?
Or put it on social media.
Yeah, yeah. Check the other episode. We talked about that with Vitamin A. But
yeah, I'm just saying in general, like people, you know, they say that they have like when we can talk about the social media part. It's like some men will post their child just for that one birthday, and then you won't see no more of that child, and then it's like you're just a social media father. But then you have some that are really in the life of that child, and they don't post anything on that child.
Yeah, and you have that, and then you also have, you know, and I want to say this because I give men, you know, a lot of praise, but the other side, some men, I will say this, they make it hard for some men because men do care about, you know, the camaraderie of the men, and they make it hard for some men to want to be, you know, certain type of dads and things in our generation. Right. Because everybody cares what everybody says. And, you know, I will see men who, you know, want to just play around with their daughters, and I'm not ever doing my daughter's hair. Why am I touching my daughter? 9 times out of 10, the man is not doing the daughter's hair. But this is something that the daughter enjoys, and he loves spending time with his daughter. I can't tell you how many times my dad played teacups with me, and I think my dad was drinking. But because there's no way he sat there through all of that. You know, he just was sitting back chilling. Yeah, he had a little radio.
But that's what he was supposed to do.
Right,
and
but
now you
it's
got
not
someone,
masculine at all.
No, but you understand that now having a daughter and you see that dynamic with her father, you know, with your husband, and you're like, wow, this is and it's. Honestly, I love to see men with their children. Like that was one of the things that I loved about my husband was seeing him with his children and how they interact with each other especially when they were much younger. Yeah. It was like, oh my gosh, this man is like, who is this man? Yeah. Like, who is this man? And I love to see that. So by all means, like, women, the one thing I'm gonna say, it's Father's Day. Do your job. Do what you're supposed to do. Like if your baby father ain't shit, just let him have this one little day to himself or whatever. Another thing that people seem to get an issue with is child support, but that's another topic for another day because that will be an endless conversation. But just let these men have their day. You know. Even if they're just a sperm donor, as some women may say, let them just have this moment.
It might be everything to that child. And I'll say this in our segment. I had a friend I know, and he told me that one thing that he appreciated about his mom, he said, I can tell you that as an adult, I can look back and probably say, my dad, he wasn't the best at all. He's like, and I never knew all those gifts that my dad, brought to me. My mom bought them and gave it to my dad.
To give. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
He said, but it made me look at my dad in such a great light that I was happy. He's like, I was happy that my dad remembered my birthday. I was happy that my dad did this and this and this and that. He was like, and even though I know as an adult now, my dad didn't do any of those things, he was like, it made me even appreciate my mom even more because it made me feel good as a kid. He was like that. He was like, and now I look at it, I appreciate my mom doing that. He was like, because she put her feelings aside, how she felt about my dad, to make sure that I knew my father. Yeah. He was like, and my dad, he was like, when my mom told me this, he was like, my dad said, yeah. And he said, he was like, and I appreciate that your mom did that because I didn't have nothing. He was like, but I still wanted to see you. I still wanted to spend time with you. He was like, but I didn't want to disappoint you. And a lot of men, when they do know that they can be disappointing, they'll just drop off altogether.
Right.
Versus, because that pride is there.
I got another point.
Yeah, go
Look,
ahead.
I got another point.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You can end it.
I got another point.
Go ahead and end it.
My thing is this: as my child got older, she was able to see certain things for herself.
Yeah, they're gonna see it
Moms,
eventually.
fathers, you don't have to bash the other parent to make yourself look good or to feel like you're being transparent with your child. Your child will be able to see that.
Yeah.
My note to really, this is a funny story, but I gotta say this story because this shit is funny. So for me as a mom, I had my daughter's father on child support, so we go to child support court because he was going through something. I went to child support court. We had to do some things, whatever, right? And I was actually going to get it lowered for him because he was going, and so I was trying to help him out. People, yes, I was helping him out. I'm the one rare woman that would help a man out on child support and say, you know what, whatever. So we're in the court, and it was just the funniest story. I think I may have told you this. It was a Hispanic guy that went before my case. So they do a lot of the Spanish speaking cases first, to have the translator come down. So, and this is not to bash you, man, but this shit is fucking hilarious. Take care of your children though. So the judge is going back and forth, the translator and everybody is having this conversation. And the judge said, okay, we're going to up your child support to like $200. All of a sudden, the Hispanic guy can speak English. He was like, what? I only make X amount of money. Bam.
That's what we do. I ain't gonna lie.
The whole dude started speaking English. And me and my daughter, was sitting there like, wait a minute, what just happened, right? Yeah. And so now the judge, the person that oversees the child support court, he's like, look, you got to go back to the end of the line because you just made a whole spectacle of my courtroom. And so while we're sitting there and I'm listening to the other cases, me and my daughter, we get up there. The judge is like, wait a minute, you coming to lower his child support payment? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I am. And he was like, this is a first. Well, if that's what are you sure you agree to this amount? And it was the easiest cut and dry case that he had ever experienced. But I say that to say that now me and my daughter, we have a great relationship, not because I lowered his child support, but because I was never a petty baby mother. I never made him feel like lower than what he should. Now, we've had some words over the time, because if he watches, I'm going to tell you, we done had some words, but I never made it hard for him because at the end of the day, I knew that was his first time being a father. This is my first time being a mother. You don't get it right, but you can always try to be better. So if you're a horrible father, it is not too late to be a better father. If you are a baby mother that think you're supposed to get credit for Father's Day, baby, you got Mother's Day. Keep your day, have your birthday, all that other stuff. But just allow the men, if you don't have a penis or a strap, this is not your day.
Lord Jesus. And with that.
Because, I know some of y'all, the same. I don't know how to LGBTQ celebrate fathers. I don't know how that
Man,
goes. Sorry.
No, you good. Because that's a totally different can of worms. And it's a lot.
But some of them look at themselves as fathers. So I can't even. It's another subject. But
to me,
I wish you had a shot.
I
need a shot on that one. Sorry. It's all love.
Do we want to mix the white with the brown?
I ain't went to no white with the brown, girl. We be here for another hour. DJ be like, cut it.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Shout out to DJ.
She talking about our production staff. I can't. What?
Yeah, he back here laughing.
It's
close this out.
Everything at the end. It was the liquor. Don't worry about it. It's the liquor.
It was some truth in it though, because
it was a lot of truth. It was a lot of truth. So I want to thank everybody for watching. This is our Father's Day episode. We talked about the good and the bad, but everybody, we do appreciate dads. Dads are needed. And rest in peace to my father. Rest in peace to Jules' dad. Mm-hmm. And if you have a father, granddaddy, all of those type of men in your life that just, are there for you, appreciate them because everybody is not here. And I just say have a good Father's Day. And thank you for watching the Red Cup Podcast. Comment. I know you're going to have some comments for Jules at the end, child. Well, probably it's all the smoke for me, but...
I hope y'all don't have none, because I really don't care. And I'm not going to comment. If you do got something negative to say, I'm not going to comment, because I don't engage negative frequencies. So if you got something negative to say, just... go ahead. I don't care.
Jules don't engage, but I do. So I don't. Yeah. Go ahead and put your comment there. I'm gonna comment back. But
comment for Micca. because I don't care.
But like, comment, subscribe, and we thank you for watching the Red Cup Podcast. Peace out.